My hero, Academia. I'll start off immediately. Godly chapter, godly villain.
This chapter was fucking amazing,
yes.
Bro.
So immediately, like, I just want to jump in and say, Shigaraki's been one of my favorite villains for a long time. He's actually been something that's always kind of drawn me to this series. I love him to death. I think he's marvelous. I love the idea of, like, a man-child. And I remember, too, one of the defining moments of me watching this series and getting into it was when they were sitting, and they were sitting at it was all the heroes, and they were, like, talking, the teachers, excuse me, and they were talking about it, and they were like, the leader is a man-child. We can tell from the decisions he's making and how he's operating things. And that really makes for an interesting villain because, you see how he interacted with Stain, how he reacted to the fact that Stain got more attention. At that point in his life, he just wanted attention. Then you see it with, one of my favorite moments in the entire series, his conversation with Deku in the mall. His rationalization that everything that's ever bad happened to him in his life. His rationalization that just the world sucks. Why? Because of All Might. I want to blame All Might. So it's all All Might's fault, right? His entire choice path has been childish, right? And what I like about this chapter is that it kind of just makes all of his previous decisions make sense, right? Because one of my favorite lines in this entire chapter, and I'll be honest with you, it gave me fucking chills. Let me get to it real quick. Page 9 on Manga Stream. One of my favorite, my favorite line in this entire fucking this entire fucking chapter is, even though we've caused the decay of the Hero Society, even though I've become the underground ruler, the lead won't go away. I think I just hate everything. Yo! But so, like, I love this because it genuinely shows, like, all of his decisions leading up to this point. It just, like, legitimately shows that he's one of those people that will never be happy, and he's admitting it. Like, yeah, I thought that what I wanted was the decay of the Hero Society. Got it. Didn't make me happy. Then, I got way more power. Didn't make me happy. He's like, you know what? And again, this is so perfect because his psychology is so well written and it's so consistent to his character because what is he doing here? He is being the man-child. He is being the childish idiot by saying, okay, well, I did 2 of my dreams, still not happy. So, clear. It's not like I have a psychology issue. It's not like I need to go to therapy or I clearly have some sort of mental problem. No, it's just that the only thing that'll make me happy is by destroying everything. I just hate everything, so let's just fucking end the world. I love that mentality. It's so fucking crazy. And the doctor, too. I love that the doctor is, like, genuinely, like laughing his ass off. Like, oh my god, you are a fucking child. Because it's so stupid. And that gives me chills because I know what I love about manga is that, like, childish villains like that in manga will actually get close to their goal. Like because here's the thing. Someone like that with that much ambition is dangerous, right? Because most people would look at him and see him as just a nut job, right? He's just a nut job. He's one of those fucking nihilist anarchists, fuck the world, it should all burn, right? But most people that say that in our world, you look at them like, okay, well, they're just crazy. Shigaraki's the kind of guy that has that goal and will genuinely do everything in his power to achieve it. And I could see him somehow getting there. And again, this chapter is full of godly quotes. So another one of my favorite quotes is, a villain is one who makes their nonsense babble a reality after all. It's like, hey, if you want to be a villain, you take that nonsense babble and you make it something, right? And so, like, it really does just concrete my theory that, like, All For One and this doctor, they really just seem to be, like, enjoying watching Shigaraki just, like, he's like their pet, it's like, let's just watch and see what he does, because it's fascinating.
You called that too. You were like, he's just like he's just
guinea pig or something to him.
Not really more so of a goal, but he's just like a puppet to use. And honestly speaking, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I feel like I don't really see that as much anymore. I honestly, after this chapter, after seeing his backstory, I really feel like One For All truly cares about Shigaraki to some degree. I feel like because, I don't know, it's just his backstory. It's kind of, I see it. I can see it happening. I can see it. Like,
I don't know.
The way,
like, maybe he sees something of his younger self in him, potentially. Maybe he even sees his younger brother in him. But, like, to me, maybe he cares about him, maybe he doesn't. To me, it's kind of inconsequential. Mostly, the main point I'm making is that, like, everything All For One and this Doctor has done from the beginning of the series till now has all been to mold Shigaraki into something. And here's what I ask you, Thurman. I ask you this, and I ask all the commenters this. What is his goal? What is All For One's goal? All we know about All For One is he created, like, a following, and he enjoyed having a following, and he was just this guy that was like, I have the power to move around quirks, and everyone's freaking out about quirks, so I'll just kind of, be their savior. And all we really know about him is that he has an ego, and he has a god complex, and he wanted a following. Other than that, other than wanting a following, that is the only motive we know about him. So here's my thing, right? The only motive we know about him is he likes having people follow him, right? Why let himself purposefully get dragged to jail and defeated to motivate Shigaraki? We know that's what he did. So to me, that what he did, his actions, doesn't match up with his known motive that we know of, right? So
right.
The only thing I can hypothesize is that he is genuinely enjoying molding and watching Shigaraki do what he does. Because my thing is, I don't see his molding of Shigaraki. I don't see how that correlates with his goal, right? Like he's doing everything he can to help Shigaraki get what he wants, but my question from the very beginning has been, what does All For One gain from that? You know what I mean? Do you have any theories on that? Like, what does All For One gain from helping Shigaraki this much?
Truthfully, I don't know.
You see that's really, what I'm talking about,
because I mean,
right?
There could be many things, right? I mean, he could use Shigaraki as a kind of a message, saying like, "Hey, All Might. Hey, little brother, I also have the power to have my influence to the next generation, not just to a cult, but someone who could follow me. Someone like Deku, right? There's many reasons as to why One For All could use Shigaraki. Because I mean, think about it. One For All has been alive for. I'm not gonna fuck up and say how many years or how many decades or whatever.
Many decades, like so long that he should have been dead by now. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, he's lived a very long life. I'm 100% sure.
By the way, you fucking avoided the fucking scorn of the comments, FTL. You sensed that. You knew some asshole in the comments would be like, actually, if you go back to chapter 57.
Bro, you give me.
Anyway, back to what you're saying.
That's cool. He has a cult. He's very well known in the underground, right? So, truth be told, and let me know if you agree with me here, that to be honest, One For All doesn't really need the League of Villains or Shigaraki. I feel like he has.
Shit. I do agree with you, yeah. Which makes his actions all that more interesting to me.
Right. So my thinking is, okay, why would One For All waste? He has all this influence, all this power, this cult following, a fucking person who can bust a mountain, worshiping him like a god. Why does he need Shigaraki? Well, it's simple, right? He found him as a kid. He's literally treats him like somewhat of a son, although psychotically. So I think it has something to do with some type of emotional attachment to Shigaraki. What's his name? Hirokoshi can go he's a Shigaraki route, but I feel like that's too. I wouldn't say it's too shonen, but
that would make sense because obviously we all know that if there's anything that can make someone irrational, it's love, right? So like I feel you on that. I mean that would make sense because like you think back, like one of my favorite scenes in the show is if you think back to like when. Like look at that dynamic between All For One and Shigaraki in the very beginning of this show, right? Like when he's talking to All For One through like the fucking TV Skype call that they're on, right? Like the way that they interact is very much like a parent that spoils their child. You know what I mean? And I know this because my mom used to spoil me, And like it's very much like, Shigaraki, he was learning nothing and he was just getting everything given to him. And Shigaraki would call up and be like, Dad, I want 3 more Nomus. I need them to do my goal. And then All For One was like, okay, I'll give you the 3 Nomus, but you gotta promise to try harder this time. You know what I mean? Like so. It does kind of feel like he's using him, but I suppose I could see it from like he genuinely loves Shigaraki and he wants to give him because it really does feel like a parent who's like, I want you to succeed, son, but you got to do it on your own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, because I honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I would kind of be disinterested if it was like, oh, I'm using Shigaraki, because, like I said, I really prefer it. I mean, and then I will suck it up if it's that's the case. But I really like it more because I feel like her coach setting up to be like, One For All cares about Shigaraki at least enough to put for Shigaraki to put his image out there. But I'm like think about it. One For All is extremely famous, infamous, however you want to, whatever side you're on here. Mm-hmm. He has a multiple cult followings. Like, again, he has someone who is part of Destroy a Mountain. Like, why does he need Shigaraki? Like the doctor said, they are weak.
That was my point in the beginning. He doesn't.
Yeah. So what's the point of him? So I feel like it has to be something emotional. Something emotional.
Right. And I just want to go a bit more into, because there's so much to talk about here, right? So, like, you see the molding of his ideology here, because basically he talks about how every memory from before All For One met him is cloudy to him. So, like, his life began when All For One cradled him in a hug, right? And so, like, that's almost like a rebirth for him, right? Because he truly doesn't remember his life before that. And I love that. I love what he says, because, again, the first thing he says to him is basically just belittling hero society. He's like, oh, everyone walked by this homeless, starving child in the street and said, oh, a hero will get to that. A hero will get to that. You know what I mean? And you see this in our life, too. There's stories about people that, like, saw people getting, like, raped in an alley. And, like, there was, like, stories. I read a story where 3 different people saw a rape in an alley and just assumed, but it was, like, in a public area, right? So everyone was like, oh, someone's already called 911. Clearly, everyone assumed that someone had already called 911, so no one called 911.
Yep, I remember that.
So basically, that's what's happening here, right? So in one way, All For One's kind of being a manipulative prick in that regard, because this is not a problem that is specific to a hero society. That's just a human psychology problem, okay? But I like what he's doing there, because from second number 1, like, even if there is love, there is some manipulation going on here. Or you could, I suppose, label it as a father imparting his values onto his son. But what he's saying is, immediately, this hero society is the reason that you're the way you are. And he's imparting that into him, right? So I do want to talk about, let me find it here, when they pull out the hands, and it's like, this is the remains of your family, which a lot of people, assumed that, because there was the famous scene back in the mall where he pulled out, like, one of the hands from, like, his hoodie pocket and said mom to it or something. But I love that reveal. And let's just talk from here on out about the fucking artwork during his mental breakdown. Godly. 10 out of 10, godly. Oh my god.
That's some Junto Ito shit. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
That's some.
Like, immediately when I saw that was Junto Ito. I was like, oh yeah. Shit, did this man get like a fucking guest artist right now, bro? No, guest appearance.
The emotions that he was able to bring out of me from looking at this, and again, it helps that I am genuinely, like, even before, because keep in mind, until now, would you agree with me in saying this, Thurman? Until now, we've really known, if you think about it, we knew almost nothing about Shigaraki, about what drove him, his backstory. We knew almost nothing until now. Would you agree with me on that?
Definitely agree.
And would you also agree with me that, this is probably will go down as one of the most important chapters in My Hero Academia history?
Yes.
Because it's practically
that's
like,
yeah,
this is the Madara flashback, or the fucking any flashback of any main villain, right? This is a huge deal. So, like, seeing this, and keep in mind, he's a villain that I loved ever since. Like, I have memories of when I first started dating my now ex-girlfriend. I would talk to get her into My Hero Academia, and this is back when, like, it was still in the fucking, like, Gentle Criminal arc or the end of the Chisaki arc, and I was like, listen, this villain, fucking Shigaraki, he's so interesting, his psychology is fascinating, and his development, and, like, how, because this was right after he had fucking curb stomped Chisaki, and we saw that huge change shift in his character. So, like, even before this chapter, I considered Shigaraki in my top 10 villains. And now this was just brilliant because I was already emotionally invested in him. And then you see this pure, like, can you imagine a motherfucker walks up like, hey, these hands are the hands of your fucking mother and father and most likely some sort of sibling you had. Like, it's crazy. And he murdered them, bro.
Man.
It was him. It was his decaying quirk. Like, so, like, oh my god. Like, can you imagine that? Oh.
Yeah, and you see, he fucking, because obviously it was by accident. That's what they're implying, you know? Like, his quirk developed that he fucking touched.
That's oh my god, I just thought, bro, this is why I love doing these videos. On the fly, I just thought of a new thing. And this should be obvious, but I don't know why my brain just thought of it now. This probably has a lot to do with why he fucking hates quirks and the society they live in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, imagine just getting a quirk and, like, that quirk kills your family.
Like that. I love that Horikoshi's going into that because that would happen. Like, have you ever seen, okay, Thurman, have you ever watched an anime called Elfenlied?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
If you've never watched it or read it?
Nope.
Godly. It's godly. It's fucked up, but it's godly. Let me just tell you one of my favorite scenes from Elfenlied. So in Elfenlied, basically, there's these like mutant half hybrid, and forgive me, I might be semi forgetting this. I watched it back in middle school. You can imagine it fucked me up. It did. But like it was like a mutant breed of humans, right? And this mutant breed had basically like the power of telekinesis, but it was in the form of these invisible hands. Like they basically just had these hands that could just like go in a certain range around them and rip shit apart. And it had the strength of like insane strength. Like we're talking like stopping bullets, ripping human beings apart, shit like that, right? And it would awaken when they were like months old. I'm talking like baby level, right? So like there were tons of cases in this manga where like parents would have a kid and then the first temper tantrum this kid had, they would murder their parents without even realizing it. They would be a baby and murdering their parents with this power they didn't even know they had. You know?
Bruh, that is insane.
And by the way, and that led to one of the best scenes in the entire manga where there was a government worker that was studying these mutant kids, right? And because it was like a mutant strain of DNA, and he was studying these mutant kids, and like he was in charge of going after them and containing them. And then, you know, but he also happened to have a wife that was pregnant. His child gets born, and it is a mutant because there's like a visual indicator. They have like these little horns, like it's like these little nubs. So like he walks into the fucking hospital room and his wife is like, "Oh, don't worry, the doctor just said it's like a bone deformation. It's nothing, no big deal." And then, you know, the father is terrified because he works for the government and he knows it's one of the mutants that will go nuts and kill everyone, right? So he's terrified about it. And then the wife is like, "Why do you look that way, honey? Don't you love our daughter?" Like, and it's so sad. And then there's a scene where he strangles his fucking daughter in the crib. So,
oh my,
it's a seinen, hardcore. Like, it's a fucked up manga. And again, I may be misremembering details. He either strangled her or was attempting to start strangling. Because I'm pretty sure, if my mind's remembering correctly, I think he was like in the middle of strangling the daughter. The wife walked in, saw that, and then she killed herself. Fucked up manga.
Well, I've seen worse, but damn.
So, and the reason I bring this up, by the way, I don't bring that up just to be a fucking edgelord, by the way. I bring that up because it's poignant as fuck, because that's the kind of shit Horikoshi will never show us, because this is a shonen after all. But you can imagine, you can off-screen imagine the kind of shit that would happen, because similar things would happen with the quirks, right? And you see this happening. I think this can correlate very well with what we were talking about earlier, what the series was talking about earlier, with children. Every generation, their quirks are getting stronger, right? And it's becoming a legitimate issue where the parents cannot handle the children. I cannot even imagine, if it's not already a problem within the My Hero Academia universe, because right now it might be little fringe incidents, like, oh, this kid killed its parents, this kid killed their parents, you know, but like, I can only imagine that's going to get worse and worse and worse, and I hope Horikoshi goes into that. I mean, remember, what was one of the kids that Bakugo had to deal with the daycare thing? It was like he had like a chain chomp, remember? Like, he had like chain chomp powers?
I have to go back and look.
He basically, it was something to do with, like, I remember calling him a chain chomp kid, right? So imagine fucking 3-year-old chain chomp kid, like, oh, you're trying to feed your baby with a bottle, Kong, oh my god, bites your fucking fingers off. Like, that's terrifying. So, like, in a way, Shigaraki, because obviously now he's basically gone off the deep end and his whole thing is, fuck everything, I want to burn the whole world down. But, like, back when he was basically just like, fuck this society of quirks, because I remember, and this makes his early, I'm sorry, I know I'm talking too much, I will give you an opportunity to talk more in a second, Thurman, but I have to be hype here. Back in, what's up?
Keep going.
I appreciate it, man. So back in the mall scene, right? The mall scene, remember one of my favorite things from him was that he looked around at everyone in the mall, and he was like, he was disgusted by it. He was like, all of these people have quirks, and what blew his mind, and he couldn't get over this, and this is what I loved about him. He looked around at everyone, just walking around the mall, having a good time, living life peacefully, not worried about shit. He looked at everyone, and he was like, everyone has quirks. How can they be so calm? And I believe the metaphor he made was, it's like everyone is walking around with a fucking RPG in their pocket, and no one is scared. And it blew his mind, and he didn't get it. He was like, how can this society, how can we be in a society where every fucking citizen has a goddamn superpower that could destroy everything, and yet there's peace? He didn't get it, and that was the scene where Deku explained to him, it's All Might. All Might, that symbol of peace, is literally holding together society. And now we know why he's so pissed about quirks. Why he's like, how can people be calm about quirks? Because he accidentally killed his own fucking family because of his quirk. That's genius. I fucking love it. Nut. Godly. 10 out of 10. I love it. Okay, your turn. Fuck.
Nothing else I can really say after that.
Yes, there is, bitch. This is a partner channel. Pull your weight.
I don't know, man. I'm not as hype as you when it comes to this, but I will say it was a good chapter. I will say I do like his little confrontation with allies a bit, because
yes, Toga.
He's letting everyone is kind of like, whoa, shit, I didn't know you had this deep of a fucking thought, and like the dude who was like,
yeah,
the scaly dude who was like, what the fuck are we fighting for? Is like, oh shit. He had this.
Now see, I have a question for you. The scaly dude, do you think he's impressed by Shigaraki or like kind of terrified?
He's probably like, oh shit, I spoke without realizing what he was going through. I guarantee it.
I like that.
Because I mean, think about it. Obviously, Shigaraki has been thinking about this entire time, and then he's just like, saying like, oh, what the fuck are we doing? Why aren't we doing anything? And she didn't realize that Shigaraki has way more on his mind.
I like that. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, see, here's the thing too that I'm interested in. I feel like a lot of his allies at this point have to be having some second thoughts, right? Because not everyone that joined him, and I would argue most of the people that joined him, don't want to just destroy the entire world. Because Shigaraki has kind of become Saturday morning cartoon-esque, I want to destroy the entire world motive, which is insane. But Horikoshi, of course, has done a cool spin on it. But I'm thinking like Mr. Compress, fucking, I know for a fact, Dobby, so many people are like, no, you know what I mean? Now, my favorite, personally, is Toga, like, wait a minute. You're not going to destroy the things I like, are you? And then he's like, well, you can keep the things alive that you like. And she's like, yay!
Yeah, so this is I really wish his allies had more to say about it.
I'm sure we'll get more of that. Yeah.
I feel like that was like wasted potential of like them having like a moment, but you're right. You said like it might happen.
Yeah. Another thing I want to ask you too. Or let me just also point out, just to more of how fucking childish his ideals are, right? Just because, like, look at how unrealistic and unfeasible his plan is, because that's the point, right? Like, what he's saying makes no fucking sense. So when Shigaraki is like, I'm gonna destroy everything, and then Toga's like, what about the things I like? And he's like, okay, we'll destroy everything except for the things that you like. That's so stupid, but it's supposed to be stupid, right? Like, he's literally just like, I'm gonna destroy everything except for the things that I like. I'm against bad things and for good things. Like, it's just so vague and childish, and I love it.
It's funny, too, because, I mean, one of the things that Toga likes is Deku, and Shigaraki hates Deku.
I didn't even think about that.
That's gonna be conflict. She's
Bro,
like,
I can see a scene now where fucking Shigaraki's like about to kill Deku, and she's like, "You promised." And he's like, "Fuck."
That's just gonna be funny to think. That's gonna be funny. That I can't wait for that.
And he's just like, "Can you guys just do like a quickie, and then I can kill him?"
Bruh, that shit. NTR's Uraka.
Bruh,
No,
if anyone would NTR Uraka, it would be Toga.
bruh. Bro, that is fucking hilarious. Oh my god, that is funny. NTR.
Okay. So basically, there's so much to talk about in this chapter. It's such a departure from previous chapters. So what about So how do you think about the Doctor basically saying like, all right, well, I have a secret weapon to give you, but first you have to gain the trust of Gigio, whatever the fuck, I can't say his name for the life of me, the big boy. So like basically, you know. And him coming back, I need your thoughts on him coming back and be like, say hello to your future king, bitch. Like, it's fucking nuts.
I'm curious to see how he's gonna win, because obviously, like, he's gonna have to be strategy wise, right? So I have to assume that Shigaraki has somewhat of a fucking plan, because I mean,
oh yeah,
they got fodderized.
Well, let's remember what Shigaraki can do when he's motivated, okay? Let's think back to the curb stomping of Chisaki. Think about it for a second. Envision it. Envision how epic it was. Okay? So, like, right now, and there's so many, this chapter's full of amazing lines, right? I love how he's like, okay, send me back. I all of a sudden have a lot of motivation. Like, yeah. Because, like, and by the way, like, because you just know, right? I'm sure you can feel it from him. His motivation is, like, massive right now. Like, to me, I feel like he's gonna go back and do some crazy shit. Like I feel, because now he's basically resolved himself. This actually reminds me, you know that recent Hunter x Hunter chapter where the Halkenberg, the Prince Halkenberg, he came out of that meeting with his dad, like, all rejuvenated. Like, you know, he basically reinstated his vows and, like, what he was gonna do. And then he came out completely changed person, started fucking shit up. Remember that?
Oh yeah, I remember.
So, like, basically, that's the vibe I'm getting from Shigaraki here. Like he's basically, this is something he's been mulling over for a while. Just like you said, he's been thinking about this for a long time. So I feel like this was cathartic for him, right? To basically finally say out loud, "Yup, this is my plan: destroying the whole world." You know, and now that he said it, you can see it in his eyes. You can see it in his face. He's ready to fuck some shit up.
That's true.
And by the way, back to another reason why I fucking love him, my boy still using the video game metaphors for everything. Like, oh, this is a long tutorial. Like that. Oh, there's so many good lines.
Oh shit. Yeah, man. I mean, it's such a great. He's just getting Hirokoshi's piling on the character development for him. Hell, he's getting more character development than half the fucking hero cast. Yes. Like, that's insane. This is some Miriam Gone type of shit, right? This is some Miriam level shit, right?
Oh my god, like,
right?
You gotta. I understand that you're like, oh, I can't match your hype, but like, Thurman, for my sake, for the video's sake, you gotta feel me on the fact that Shigaraki is like one of the best characters in this entire series.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, oh my god, like. Oh, also, like, there's so many things in this chapter, like, and then we see how he's able to use different quirks, like, they are in just, like, little test Nomus, so he has this little, like, tiny, basically, like, poodle of a Nomu to use the ink teleportation quirk. I love it.
I'm interested in that, too, because this man basically is where they make all the Nomus, so, yeah. Like, is the Doctor saying, like, you have my entire collection of Nomus?
Yeah, or what is the secret weapon? Nomus? I'm glad you brought that up.
Like, that's some fucking, like, video game shit. Like, you know, like, after you beat a mission, you can go and, like, buy upgrades and shit like that.
It's Mega Man. He walks into the fucking, like, pod and, like, do.
Bro, that's actually kind of hype, too. Because each Nobu has a different ability, right? So he can have basically call Nobu and say, hey, I need a Nobu for this. It's like, oh, okay, I'll send it.
Yo, that would be fucking crazy.
So
and you know, because he's Shigaraki, he would see it like, just like you said, he would see it like a fucking item in a video game. He would see it like summons. He's like, oh, I'm going to use my summon now.
Bruh, that's insane. I definitely have to see how
this shit is fire.
How it will play out, because the way the doctor's saying it, the way everything's going down, this shit's Shigaraki's still in the show right now. My Villain Academia, indeed.
Bruh, it's just so good. Okay, so no, I had one other question. One other question for you, Thurman. I don't understand the last page. I don't know what I'm looking at.
It looks like a not really a construction site, but you see like it's like lined in the middle.
Yeah.
So this shit actually got me hyped, right? Like this.
Okay,
shit
then
right
show
here,
me some fucking hype.
This shit right here, bro, is fucking. It's the League of like this guy right here, this fucking Joker type motherfucker right here. This is a war. This. I guarantee this is gonna be like a fucking guerrilla warfare type shit between this company and the League of Villains, and the heroes are gonna be plunged in the middle, right? I'm gonna foresee some deaths coming out soon.
I like that. So it's just a war between the villains, and the heroes are gonna be caught in the middle. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, I'm foreseeing some deaths, man. I'm calling it.
I feel it too, honestly. I mean, I think you're right.
Like,
wow. But like, here's my question though: the middle panel on the last page, the middle panel, like, what am I looking at? I legitimately can't tell what that is.
That looked like a like some type of like, you know, how that a raft or something like that, or some type of that's when I looked at it. But then I see a finger.
I'm so confused.
So
but it looks like it has veins. Like it looks like some fleshy shit. What the fuck?
That's a person. Honestly speaking, if I had to guess, it might be the broker.
Oh my god. Do you think maybe it's like what his quirk does to people? Like do you think he like fucks people up like weirdly like that? Like,
yeah, probably like some type of like flesh decay.
I feel like I'm an idiot. Like, let me check Jaime because there's a sound effect on. You see, there's a sound effect happening on that panel, right?
Yeah.
I want to see if Jaime has translated that sound effect. I want to see what they put it at. Like that might tell us what the fuck's going on here. Okay, Jaime, what you got for me? Okay, last page of that chapter. Alright, let's see here. Loading. You whore. Of course, they have the we're looking for translators fucking page. So inconvenient. Okay. Alright. Of course they don't translate it. Alright, well, fuck. I have no idea. It's very weird. But yeah, I mean, I loved this chapter. I thought it was fucking marvelous for Shigaraki's character, and to me, best chapter since probably the chapter where Gentle Criminal and La Brava get caught. For me. You know, the chapter where they're hugging as the heroes are coming in to fucking catch them and take them to jail?
Yeah.
Literally best chapter since then. And that was over a half a year ago. Probably approaching a year ago, so yeah.
You love that chapter, don't you?
I love that entire fucking saga. Gentle Criminal is the best character in this fucking show, period.
I mean, that's not factual, but okay.
It is. I mean, it's factual to me, Thurman.
Proof, my hater? Yeah.
Proof that it's factual to me?
Yep. I need some proof.
You want me to do a full solo video on the godliness of Gentle Criminal?
Full solo video? Yes. Go to those lines.
All right. Final thoughts for you, Thurman.
9 out of 10 chapter, bro. Seriously. I love it. I really hope we get to see right because one thing Kirikoshi does is that when shit's about to the fan shit's hype, he cuts it.
Does he? I mean, who does it more, Oda or him?
Oda, definitely.
I was waiting for that answer.
especially for recently. Oh hell no, Oda.
Yeah. Mm-mm. I don't remember Horikoshi having a cutting away problem. I don't think he does that often.
It's funny too because now I know why the anime does that shit so much because Oda's the master of that bullshit.
Oh, that's so funny. Wow. Yeah. Fucking phenomenal shit. And with that, peace.
Peace.